Happy Lionsgate. 8/8, the day I'm recording. I don't know if it'll upload today. We'll find out. Um, I don't necessarily, I have been very aware of Lionsgates in the past couple of years, but then last year there was some talk about whether or not we should be celebrating it. But either way, I still find it an important day in terms of recognizing that Sirius and Orion are in alignment with the sun. That feels like a very powerful portal if you ask me. So, hello, sending you rays and light of gratitude for entering into the palace. Thank you for joining. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for returning. You are appreciated. I see you. I thank you. I love you. If you are new here, leave a comment in the description. Leave a comment in the comments. You can put a little flower emoji, maybe a lion, because today's Lionsgate, so I can welcome you personally to the palace. While you're down there, you can check out the Pandora's box, see all the little goodies in there for any services that I'm currently offering if you feel guided to work with me. And yeah, go ahead and hit subscribe with your pinky, your nose, or your elbow. I feel called to join. And I have the camera in the shade right now. I'm working on trying not to burn the camera when I'm out here to record, but I really felt called to record in this moment, and I'm learning to listen to my authority, so that's what's happening right now. To make this a very concise, structured video, because I didn't make notes, I'm going to keep it as basic as possible. Last night I had a dream. It was very interesting, specific, highly detailed dream with specific people, specific words, all of these instances, and so I wrote it down in my dream journal, and I felt very called to try and interpret it. And so I told myself, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go do my morning routine, said my affirmations, did my lymphatic clearing and all my stuff, and then I went into my room and I was sitting in meditation, and I was going to sit in meditation and ask Spirit to help me interpret the dream. But then, as I was sitting in meditation, I got called to do Reiki on myself. And as I was doing the Reiki on myself, I was going through each chakra, each energy center, and at each chakra I was sitting with different experiences that I've had this year, or since this time last year, and how they've affected me emotionally, physically, mentally. Each chakra was holding a different experience for me to sit with and reflect on, and I find today a great day to really ask Spirit for answers and to receive the answers, to receive the clarity, if you're open and willing and set your intention to do so. I almost feel like it's warm outside, but I almost feel like I'm too warm in the sun, so I think I'm going to go move into the shade with you guys. I gotta get my crystal so I can continue and not be in pain. Okay. Oh my god, that's so much better. I don't know how much time I have with the shade over here. Okay, that's better. I don't feel like I want to die. Maybe I should start over from right here. Should just redo the whole video. Not burning in the sun. No, okay, I'll just keep going. So, I was sitting with each of my chakras, and in each one I was being asked questions, but also asking questions to my guides. And when I say guides, I call to Gaia, I call to specific archangels that I work with, I call to Jesus, and I call to all of my galactic ancestors. And so I got called to all of my guides. I was sitting with them and asking them questions about each experience I've had since this time last year, especially in terms of thinking about the fact that typically I live my life by the wheel of the year and the different Sabbats on that wheel, and right now we are in the time of Lugnasta, which is about looking at the fruits of your harvest, looking at what you have been able to see the fruits of from your harvest of last year, because you plant the seeds and then they come up to harvest now, and seeing what has grown from what you planted. I cannot lay my leg over here because it keeps shaking the tripod. So as I was sitting with that recognition, because I haven't really been practicing the wheel like I typically do, I aim to practice it more now. as I was sitting, there were some things that were coming up for me personally that I still felt could be important just collectively and for anyone who finds this video. And so I was going through all of these like little traumatic moments and experiences I've had in the last year and asking myself, okay, well, why do I find that traumatic? Why did this make me upset? And then saying why it made me upset. And then sometimes when I'd say why it made me upset, I'd be like, well, it's because I felt brave and I felt excited to do this, and I felt confident and like, wow, I'm doing something new. And then to not see the result I expected from it, and then to have my feelings hurt, and then, you know, all this stuff. So I was kind of talking to myself like that. And then, as I was working my way down the chakras, it got more and more interesting. And me personally, I feel that most of us are walking around with a root chakra imbalance or deficiency or an unstable root. That's just something I've noticed, especially in terms of imagining that when you do have a grounded root chakra, everything that you're experiencing is held by your root. It's holding you to this earth plane. So I gotten down to my solar plexus. When I got down to my solar, I was really working on a lot of shadow work and trauma and light work around friendships and developing friendships in this lifetime. I guess that's just something that I could be thinking about anyway, because Jupiter was retrograding, or probably still currently is, my third house of friends you make through like people you meet and other people rather. And as I was thinking about those friendships and stuff, I was, you know, comparing and contrasting. Like I was like, well, what is a friend? What do I consider a friend to be? Because I consider a friend is someone who supports and encourages you. And that was like my most basic answer. I was like, a friend is someone who supports and encourages you. And then I would go through and ask if I felt supported and encouraged by those people. And then I would go through each one and say, why do you or why don't you? And then even through going through that experience of asking, do I feel supported and encouraged by them, then it wasn't just about being supported and encouraged. It was about being supported and encouraged to be myself. Supported and encouraged in who I truly am. Because some people can support you and encourage you in versions of yourself that aren't healthy for you. They can support and encourage you to do things that don't align you with who you really are. They can support and encourage you to be in the same dark pit that they are. You know what I mean? So I had to clarify it even more. Friend, to me, a friend is someone who supports and encourages you to be who you really are and wants you to be happy and thrive and experience joy and success just like they would want you to do the same for them. So that was something I was really sitting with. And as I moved to my sacral center, I really sat with my sexuality and recognizing that I said turned it off, but then it got reworded for me as buried. Something I had really buried within myself, something I had really covered up in the last year, and something I didn't feel confident in being able to express based on where I was, who was around, how uncomfortable it might make people feel. But then I also learned that our sexuality doesn't have to just be how we move. It doesn't have to be what we wear, or even talking about sexuality. Be feeling embodied in our sexuality can be harnessing that energy and just experiencing life in that way. It can be about creating in that way and just doing everything from that center. But sometimes it makes people uncomfortable. So that's something I was learning as well, that I turn off a lot of the things that I do, or turn off a lot of the things that I am, because of this discomfort that it brings to others. And I am working on not doing that anymore. And something really big that came up as I went to the root, which is what I'm getting to, like the real root of this video, is the fact that when I went to the root chakra, I was like, okay, well, what's occurring for everyone, or not just everyone, but what's really occurring for me in the root? And the root is about your stability. It's about your structure here on earth. It's your support system, how you feel supported. And I went through my relationship with my father and how he hasn't really been present, and then I did reach out and try and create some kind of continuous conversation or relationship with him, but he has his own work and his own shadow work to do. And it felt good to understand and know, like, the reason that I don't have to judge the reason why my father and I don't have a relationship, which would kind of be that supportive masculine container. I don't have to feel bad for that, because I put myself out there, I extended, and I went through love. And if it can't be received, that has nothing to do with me and whatever he is currently going through. So that felt really good to sit with and realize. And as I realized that, they said, you don't need that masculine fatherly support from him. You're supported, father, by the earth mother. And then that just kept, you're supported, father, by the earth mother. You are supported, father, by the earth mother. And so it was a strong recognition and understanding that we are all supported here on Gaia. We're all supported by her. If you don't feel supported in your experience of life here on earth, they told me to just take a moment every day to just ground to Gaia. The earth is my home. I'm always home. It's something I used to say. I think I need to start saying it again. The earth is my home. I am always home. The earth is my home. I am always home. And so sitting with that helped me to create an understanding that I do have the physical container, the structural container to bring in abundance, to bring in flow. Because I was wondering, I was like, well, what kind of supportive structure do I have to hold the abundance, to hold the flow, to hold it? And they're like, Earth, Gaia, she will support you, Father. She's the Earth Mother. So Gaia is the container. Gaia is my structure. Gaia is the divine feminine and masculine for me. And I can just be the divine child running across her, is how they worded it to me. So in sitting with that recognition, it feels good to know that any flow, any creation that I have will be supported by Gaia. Maybe that will be something helpful for you to think about in terms of you trying to figure out, well, I keep trying to create abundance, I keep trying to create flow, but you don't feel like you have that structural container. Gaia is that container. Maybe work with Gaia more specifically. Maybe work outside, or try to work outside or near outdoors, and allow her to be the container for your abundance and flow to come in. So that was something that I really strongly received, as well as just like, then I understood in terms of moving through the wheel of the year, it is important for me specifically to do that. That doesn't mean that you need to do it. And for me, that simply just means understanding that at this time of the year, despite whatever Gregorian or, Americanized, whatever holidays may be occurring, hold on, I want to drink some of my smoothie before it gets too hot. It's blueberry, banana, mango, strawberry, cachava, although I'm not going to use it all the time, it's really good, coconut water, chia seeds, flax seeds, collagen, and love. That's it. It's good. Where was I? Wow, I just distracted myself telling you it was in the smoothie. Root, structure, flow, container. Oh, so as I was sitting with all of these things, like I said, other work was coming up for me to do and to sit with and to. I feel like that's what I was talking about. Hold on. Sometimes I just need to say what I was saying again. Do I remember? Well, let me just see what comes up. Oh, so one of the biggest things that came up at the end was the wheel of the year and the friends that the support I have. And so for me, working with the wheel of the year, it is the recognition that this is the time of year. Wow, that took me a while to get there. This is the time of year where, outside of those traditional calendars, based on the more pagan calendar, this is where you would look at the fruits of your harvest. So if you're looking at the fruits of your harvest, right? What I did was, from this time last year, I said, what fruits have I reaped from relationship with this person? What fruits have I reaped from the relationship with this person? And I go through each one, and it'd be like sadness, confusion. I was like, these words were just coming up as I was asking. I was like, what fruits have I reaped from this? Misunderstanding. What fruits have I reaped from this? And some of them have been like different, but a majority of them. And so then I heard Spirit say, okay, so if you're not reaping the fruits of your harvest, it's time to go to a new field. These are not are these the fruits that you want? Is this what you want to harvest? Because this is what you're harvesting. So don't plant seeds in the same field this year again and expect a different yield. That just doesn't make sense, especially in terms of just kind of understanding farming. It's don't try and do the same thing that didn't work. Observe it, analyze it, and do it differently. So they literally said, if you go into the last year of your experience and decide each person is like a seed you've planted in your field, what have you harvested from that? What have you yielded? What have you reaped from it? Excuse me, baby. What have you reaped from it? And so after sitting with that, it's like, okay, well then it's time to go to a new field and plant different seeds. And so sitting with that, I was like, okay, so I've already been feeling, like I said, called to travel and to go to different fields and to plant different seeds to see what yield I receive in this time around. And then as I was sitting with the whole friendship experience, I was like, well, how will I know? Like, because I also was like, well, how will I know if, like, you know, you have an issue or an argument or falling out or whatever with a friend, and then to understand if it's just one of those experiences where friends argue, or if it's an experience where no, they just are telling you how they really feel about you and they don't actually like you. Like, how do you determine that? And learning to understand to treat yourself as a temple. I'm like trying to get out of the sun. To treat yourself as a temple, and then imagine that friend comes up to your temple and say, like, it was something where, you know, it wasn't a healthy experience and they're like spray painting on your temple, or they're telling people around the temple they're talking bad about you, and so on. I was like, would you let them in to the temple? Okay, just sit with that. And then from there, it doesn't have to be a friend, it could be any person, any being. And then from there, okay, so then if that person over time, they're at their temple working on themselves, doing their own thing, then they come back and they see what they wrote on your temple, or what they said, and then they come and apologize. We all should be forgiven, but that doesn't mean you need to let them in the temple. You can just say, oh, it's okay. And it'll be up to you to decide whether or not to let them back in. That was something I sat with as well. And then I was like, okay, so I guess my relationships with friends would just be, continuing to develop. And then they were like, you have friends, you have support, you just can't see them. They were like telling me, like, hey, we are here to support you, we want to assist you, and we are your friends, you just can't see us. And I got all emotional, but that really felt good to me to know. And we all have that. We all have guides, angels, and ancestors who are supporting us and encouraging us to be who we really are, which is what I said a friend is. So if sometimes you feel like in your external reality or environment you're not getting that, remember that you can always call to your guides, angels, ancestors to support, encourage you to be who you really are. And that's something I actually was kind of sitting with in terms of realizing when I was living in my car. I was like talking to my spirit guides like constantly, like all the time, and I've definitely stopped talking to them. So I think it's time to continue to cultivate that friendship with them and recognize it is a friendship. But yeah, that's something that just came out this morning as I was meditating, and I wanted to sit and talk about it just a little. And maybe this is something we can expound upon together as a collective in the comments. But let me know if you'll apply any of these practices to your experience from this time last year, if you've harvested any fruits from the relationships you're in, or if not, if it's time to plant a new field, what you consider a friendship to be. I'd love to hear your opinion and experience on that, whether you do or do not feel supported, fathered by the earth mother. And yeah, I think that's all I really want to share, because I don't want the video to be too long. Thank you so much for sitting in the container and space with me to receive this. It's getting really hot, so I'm gonna go inside even though I want to be outside. Stay connected. Stay connected with me if you feel guided to see what will be occurring within the next month, because we'll be traveling soon. And as always, I'm sending you peace. I'm sending you love.